Hey, everybody. Welcome to another round via Little Black Book. Thank you both for joining us on both sites. We are here with Love is Blind, episodes 4 through 6. If you're streaming from Kojo channel, it's basically 5 and 6 because he done covered 4 already a bit. But yeah, we'll be bouncing around for the last 3 episodes during this live. If you're joining us from Little Black Book, do us a solid favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe to that channel. If you're on my channel, do the same thing and then cross over and bounce over to the other channel. Like, share, and subscribe to both of our accounts. Please do us that solid favor. We're trying to get Kojo to 100K. We're almost there, so every little bit helps. And y'all know y'all just trying to keep me growing. So please, please. I don't like begging, but baby, please. Like some of these couples was doing. Please choose me. Okay. All right. Hey, I'm joined with Kojo from Little Black Book, as well as my co-host from every week, El Cid. How are y'all doing today?
We doing good, baby. We doing good. Can you hear me good?
Yes, we can hear you good.
Fantastic. Love it.
Good. There's no delays and nothing. All right. And I hope you guys are here in the chat. Make sure y'all be in the chat. Please be polite and respectful. But at the same time, we love to hear your opinions. So, keep it cute so we don't have to mute because the mods is in the chat. All right, let's get started. So last time we left off, we had some of the couples chosen. Some of them still trying to be chosen. Some people didn't want to break no hearts. Hearts end up being broken any daggone way. How we start this? How we get here? What we gonna do? El said, talk to us.
We could start with Trevor crying in the room by himself.
I know you're not about to do my boy dirty like that.
I like Trevor. I like Trevor. But he said, you can go, I'll cry here in the corner. He didn't slide down the wall. He took the whole room and slid. But we can start there.
The star love, okay, because that's what he called it. It was no longer a triangle, it was a star love, and his star went out. It burnt out, unfortunately, for Trevor. How do we go here? So basically, Chelsea has the choice between Jimmy and Trevor. Catch y'all up. Trevor has been upfront, telling her how he feels, told her that he loved her. He was been okay with everything that she presented on the table, okay with her being married, did not judge her. He was basically loving her for her. Jimmy had rough days where he got loaded with information and he had a lot of pauses for her. Wasn't really sure on where he wanted to be between his two choices. But eventually he said, I love you to Chelsea. Question, do you think Chelsea would have chose whoever asked her first? El Cid, you off of mute, and Coach already looked like he got his answer. But you off mute, El. What you think?
Chelsea will choose whoever chose her first. She wouldn't have waited. She's not somebody to roll the dice and say, okay, I appreciate it, and say no to you with the hope of the next person proposing to her. She's not that kind of player. She will go for the bird in the hand and not even wonder about the other one in the bush. But if that's why Trevor asked her, if I had asked you first, would you have said yes? She was quiet and he said that don't bode well for the other dude. But yeah, Trevor was yanking on his mullet hard, crying. But we understood. I understood where Trevor was. But I think she would have, if Trevor went first, she would have chosen him.
Kojo?
Yeah, listen, I agree with that. I think, with Trevor, respectfully, I understood why he was in tears. I mean, he handled it well. He didn't give no backhanded, shots at her. Didn't call her no names or felt some type of way. It's a painful situation to be in. I actually didn't want to come hard at Chelsea because as much as obviously I know that she was going to go whoever was going to choose her, I I understood. You know, you in these pods, you got two people that are coming after you, right? You got both Trevor and Jimmy coming real hard, right? You know that Jimmy obviously has got another connection with Jessica. I know it's easy to say, you know, hey, look, she had another, Jimmy had another connection, so you shouldn't go with him. But the reality of the situation is, you would have had another connection, Trevor, if there was someone else in the room, and she might, you know what I mean? Like it's by chance that there wasn't someone else there for you, Trevor. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that he made a mistake, but it was a bad comment that he made. I'm just saying that it was very also difficult for Chelsea to fully grasp who was the right person for her. If the one answer for her to choose somebody is simply that, oh, because he doesn't have someone else chasing after them, I would understand that in the real world. But when you're on Love Is Blind, you're expected to connect with several different people, and it's quite different from like when we saw Jarrett and Diana and what do you call it, old girl, whatever her name is, situation, because old boy was sliding on a wall, so that was completely different. In this scenario, they generally looked like there was two chances here, and I think Jimmy was also in a space where he's trying to figure it out in terms of who's a better match and waiting for somebody to kind of slip up or make a mistake. I think she was also waiting for somebody to kind of slip up, make a mistake, and say, actually, I know it's not you. And I think that's the unfortunate part, which is why it makes it really sad, but also a really powerful experiment on this particular season, is there are genuine people trying to make genuine connections, and people make genuine connections. And unfortunately, out of those connections, it kind of shows us why talking to several people at once on a deep level doesn't necessarily work. Because if you connect to 2 or 3 people, you're done for. Because how do you choose who the best person is for you? Because everyone's got flaws, and depending on what kind of flaws they have, you might like it, you might not like it, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to cancel them out. And so I actually felt for Chelsea in this situation because she had 2 really great guys. I think we can all look at it now and go, Trevor's probably the better choice. And actually, he's going to be her physical type because he's muscly, he's tall, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. And Trevor was quite forthcoming with his you know, how he felt about her from quite early on as well. So you could say, oh, see, that could be a better choice for her. But in all honesty, I didn't feel like Jimmy put a foot wrong. And I don't think Trevor put a foot wrong when they were talking to her. So it was difficult to choose between the 2 of them, who to choose from. She chose Jimmy after kind of, and where maybe we can talk a little deeper and I'll step off here a little bit. And I know I'll still probably go and jump in a little bit too, is where she made a mistake and where she also killed herself, but also killed Jimmy too, is when she said, and we keep talking about it, it's the Megan Fox comment. That comment changed everything. Up until that point, it might have been an easier choice for Jimmy and an easier choice for her once Jimmy would have said, actually, I'm bowing out and I'm going to go with Jessica. But because he said Megan Fox, it changed the whole game. Old boy Jimmy was like, you know, Megan Fox, okay, da, 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 da. And then he's not with her. So it's, again, you know, I felt for both of them, and no shame to Trevor to showing some emotion and kind of feeling some type of way about not being chosen or not being allowed to choose. But he made an absolute point. If he had gone first, I think it could have been either of them, to be honest. So, yeah.
You want to rebuttal that Megan Good comment?
She did say, but he wasn't listening. She did say only eyes and dark hair. She did say it, but he was already in the fantasy world of Megan Fox that he did not hear that, I don't think. But, you know, Love Is Blind always does great with the song choice. And their song choice for that was Chasing a Disaster when she walked out the room. Because they knew exactly what she was doing in Chasing with Jimmy. I'm sorry. Trevor would have been the better choice. Trevor has been consistent with her. She gave Trevor the better gift. She gave him the bracelet so that they're connected. So I don't know where at one point for her that Jimmy, became higher on her level. I didn't see it. I really saw, based on her gift, based on how she was hanging with Trevor. Yes, Jimmy was there, but I thought Trevor was her number 1 from the time she gave him that bracelet. But I could have been wrong.
So I do agree that I feel like she would have chosen whoever got the opportunity first. With the caveat, though, I believe part of it, and a few people did this, part of it was ego playing to win over my competition. A lot of times in the real world, we don't know who our competition is. And for this scenario, you get to kind of see who you're going up against. That was an ego boost for herself, going against Jessica and being chosen between the two. What she failed to realize is that these men don't get to see her. You're competing off of what you get to see, but they're not choosing off of what they get to see. They're choosing off of personality. Now, did she have the better personality in the pod between the two of them from what we've seen? A little bit of yes. You know, when it came to the men, she was a little bit more pleasant, more nice, more, you know, easier to talk to. However, you ultimately did deceive this man. I'm not going to say you outright lied, but you deceived this man and not making sure he understand the eyes and a little bit of hair, because your hair is not as dark as Megan Fox either. You kind of lied there. But maybe at the time these people gave her the compliment she had darker hair. Maybe she did some lightening up. You know, we don't know. A little bit of his fault not to ask too much questions, because as soon as she said Megan Fox, he was and tuned everything else out. But she's not understanding you're competing with this person's personality overall, with their whole story. You're not competing by looks. And a couple of these people were competing by looks when it came down to it, because we see them with Clay and Matthew and his situation. And here she goes trying to win over Jessica. So you won over, but what did you win at the end? Because the person that was more aligned to what you wanted on paper was Trevor. Trevor had the mullet. Trevor had the muscles. Trevor liked you for you. You wanted somebody that actually likes you for you. Trevor wasn't judging your past situations. He actually gave you a couple of outs on it. And that you went the opposite. You went the total opposite. So that tells me you were competing with Jessica in that moment. You wanted to walk in that room with the win. And in my eyes, you didn't get it. You didn't get it. You made a mistake.
I mean, listen, I think that, again, I'm gonna be fair. Well, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna try and hold some balance. You know, usually I want to come hard at people. I just felt it was such a tough situation to be in. I just really did. I really felt like it's a tough situation to be in. And because I mean, Jimmy's, even now, watching up to 6 episodes, I'm still waiting to see major red flags from Jimmy. I'm not saying I don't see little mini flags, but I'm talking about major red flags that are going to make you go, he's not a good choice. You know what I mean? I know that, yes, he doesn't necessarily explain all his emotions, etc., etc., and that's a clear difference between Trevor and Jimmy, right? But you know, I felt like he gave enough in the 6 episodes for her to trump on, and at least to think, okay, this person might like me. You know, I think because Trevor's so exceptional, it makes it a clear daylight kind of thing when you look at them two. But in reality, you know, I kind of understand that it's a difficult choice in that moment. Now, Trevor would be the better choice because I feel like he's a more secure, attached person. I think like he shares his emotions quite freely and regularly. You know, he seems well-rounded, etc. And sometimes people are just too perfect. You're behind the screen. I've never met you before, and you're too perfect. And in this instance, someone else's maybe attachment issues or their own trauma could be like getting tingles because you're not giving me any. It's almost too perfect. You're muscly, you're friendly, you're funny. You watch Notebook. You know what I mean? You're emotionally sound. I mean, at one point, the person and maybe we can talk. Maybe talk about trauma. Maybe we can talk about the fact that, you know, having been in certain scenarios and certain situations, we can't recognize a secure, attached person, and therefore it seems boring to want to be after that person. Maybe we can talk about that in that instance for Chelsea and say maybe that's what really contributed towards her not choosing Trevor. I mean, the bracelet thing was a really nice touch, and I really did like it, you know. And maybe she was in competition with Jessica, you know, in that instance as well, and that played a role in the situation. I think with her and Trevor, you know, in this, I'm gonna say it, man. Sometimes in this life, you need a little. You know what? I waited to the 6th episode to say this. Sometimes you need a little bark. Yeah, this is why everyone needs a little. You need a little danger about you. Now, I'm just gonna say it. You know, look, I'm not saying he needs to be toxic. I said he needs a little bite about him because I felt like he's so good that it makes you feel bad about yourself. You know what I mean? I always say this, when someone's so perfect, it makes you feel imperfect. I need a little bit of a bite from him. Everything was understanding. maybe this, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying maybe I'm looking at it from a choosing perspective. Look, everybody here on this panel's got a little edge about them, right? You got someone in your life, Jay. You got someone in your life, Elsie. Do you know why? Because you got a little bite about you. The reality of the situation of this life is, right? People like a little bit of a bite in you. Sometimes when you're too nice and too good, it's too pure. And the world is a very dark place as it is. And having too much pureness is kind of scary for a lot of people because they themselves are not that pure. So maybe if you had a little bit of just a little edge about him, maybe something that will make him a little bit more dangerous, just a little something that'll give him a little bit of an edge, she might have ended up choosing. I'm not saying he should change. It's not me saying he should change. I'm merely talking about the choice and why someone could end up making it that there's a little bit of an edge. Elsa always talking about dark arts. Well, guess what? That's going to be a part of her edge, right? When a man meets her, it's an edge. I mean, she's got someone now, so God bless you, Elsa. But I'm just saying, there's an edge to El Cid's mind. So what it does is a person gets intrigued to find out a little bit more. And so sometimes you can almost be too nice and it's too sweet and it's overbearing and it's overpowering. Sometimes you need a little bit of something just to give it a little bit of an edge, just so that people can end up, you know what, you are human, you are real, you have some flaws about you. At this point in time, can anybody point out Trevor's flaws? Can anybody point out Trevor's flaws? Because he was pretty much perfect for the whole situation. And that's the point. I think sometimes that can be scary for some people. Again, not excusing Chelsea choosing Jimmy.
Before L6, I know she bowling over there ready to go. But before she got, you have some points there, Kojo, because let's remember, she was lying down the wall when he said, I love you. Because she has never had a man treat her nice before. So there are some points there are made. But go ahead, L6, go ahead.
Trevor's the one that asked her, have you ever told someone that you love them and didn't mean it? So he got some edge. He got some flags. They ain't magenta, but they're certainly a little red. He's got a little edge, but again, he's in a dating situation where he thinks he needs to put his best foot forward. He thinks he needs to be what the other woman and the other side wants so that she can say yes to his proposal. But Trevor had some things of his conversations with her and others were things that you've done in your past that you could have regretted. And it told me a lot about him. And it told me also he would stay and sit in a relationship longer than he needs to. There's a lot of undercurrent for me for Trevor. But I think Netflix production, wonderful, but I did not like the whole scene of Trevor saying hello to an empty room. Sorry, that kind of, I hurt for him when they did that. But I think he even told her, I tapped my bracelet over 100 times today so you can feel me. I mean, my issue with Jimmy, and you're like, Jimmy didn't give too much, is the fact that Jimmy kind of, I'm sorry, I'm going to take, Jessica, I'm taking your line. Jimmy was choking on speaking his emotions. Jimmy couldn't say anything. It felt like Jimmy couldn't even say, hey, I do like how you're sounding today. Hey, I liked how you didn't put pressure on me when I told you I had a bad date. Jimmy couldn't say anything. Jimmy was he gave the scraps to her, to both Chelsea and Jessica. And yes, he was playing even because he didn't want to give one woman tails, but Jimmy was given minimal. So again, as you said, Kojo, is the difference of a woman choosing a man who is open and with his emotions to her and vulnerable, and Jimmy who is kind of closed. But is it because he's closed or is it because it's the process?
Now, I mentioned it several times. Chelsea is a runner. She's either running towards you or she's running away from you. So she's running from Trevor, running towards Jimmy. And it's still with a bit of Kojo said, he don't have enough edge for her. That's really why she chose Jimmy, because Jimmy is still that mystery. Jimmy still has that enigma to him. Jimmy is what she is used to. People not actually being upfront, telling her how they really feel, treating her some type of way. She's not used to a good guy. And that brings me back to that conversation that I know we had some weeks back about where people, when they're not used to a certain type of energy, they fight against it a lot of times. When we are not raised in a loving environment, we don't know what actual healthy love feels like. We run from that the most. We say that person is a problem, that person is this, that, and the third, when we are actually the problem. Chelsea doesn't realize how much of a problem she is because she's not healed yet. She's been running all of her life. She has to sit still and figure out why she's in this position of running. Because what she's going to do is run from Jimmy and blame Jimmy at the end. And Jimmy is going to have some faults. Jimmy's going to have some faults on why she's blaming him, of course, because he's not being honest about how he feel about her lying to him. I mean, he's kind of honest in that. He did tell her straight out, but he's not really being honest because he's kind of laughing it through like, I'm okay with it. You lied, but I'm okay with it. You're not okay. You're not being honest that you really feel like you might have made a mistake, because every little second you're talking about Jessica. Jessica's coming up in every little conversation about things. You even went to the point of telling her what Jessica said about her looks in comparison. That didn't need to be said, because what you're doing is actually making her feel less of as than she already does. She told you that she was very insecure. So you're not taking any of her feelings into consideration because you're still bitter about the fact that you fell for her deception. And now the back of whatever Jessica said in the back of your is playing in the back of your mind day in, day out, that you're going to regret and you're going to choke on them words. But yeah. Any last thoughts on Jimmy and Chelsea before we shift it over to, or Jessica or Trevor before we shift it?
Yeah, I mean, I think now we're talking about it more. Maybe I'm looking at it a little bit more deeper, as Elsa kind of said as well. You know, when we make it a bit more plainer and a bit more clearer, you know, there is a difference between Trevor and Jimmy in their expressions. And I remember that when actually Trevor asked, have you ever said that you've loved anybody? Actually, Chelsea's answer was a red flag. She said she has said to all her exes. So she hasn't loved anybody. That was the red flag, you know, but I was too much busy playing too close to black people. But anyway, but yeah, no, that was the red flag when she said that. I remember that her making that comment that she hasn't loved any of her exes. So even the person she married, and then she tried to flip. And where I know she's a real red flag is that instead of like taking accountability to saying, you know what, when I got married, I actually realized that I didn't love him. But she tried to make it when I was young and I was 18, and that's why. But really and truly, babe, it's got nothing to do with you being 18. You have to look at you. And oftentimes, people who are the most red flags are the ones who don't know how to look at themselves and hold themselves accountable. And that's what Chelsea did. At the same time, you're right about Jimmy too, because he's passive aggressive, right? So now he's moved into passive aggressive zone, right? So instead of just telling our good sis, you lied, sis. You said you look like Megan Fox. I chose because of Megan Fox. Really and truly, I don't rock the boat. So what I'm going to do is passive aggressively. I'm going to do stuff subconsciously, unconsciously, that's going to let you know that you lied. Okay. So for instance, when he's, when they had a conversation about looks, at one point he stuttered when he was talking about looks, and he started because he was trying to say something, but he couldn't say it because he knew that he gonna tell her, that's it, you ugly to me. Okay, yeah, I'm not attracted to me. Okay, all right, that's the honest truth. At one point when he hugged at the reveal, he looked over her shoulder. He looked like he had seen a ghost, right? And then again later on, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Like I said to people, right? People like to do things and pretend they don't know what they're doing. And this is why it's frustrating for a lot of people in life when they clock people. That conversation with AD, right? It wasn't a conversation that was the issue. It's his behavior. He was out of order. First and foremost, the fact that you're saying you're not attracted to her like that, cool, innit? No problem. But the fact is that you notice her beautiful behind. Okay, all right. Then you went to have a conversation with AD for a long time, and he made one or two compliments, but nothing too crazy. But the conversation was going on, nicely as well. And then you didn't even look around to see where your girlfriend was, your potential wife was, right, at that point, right? So, I know she was at the bar and she had gone to do whatever, because she was feeling sorry for herself too. And she had done her little passive-aggressive thing by calling it out, but really and truly, she felt hurt by his comment. But all of it is actually stemming from a base. So the behaviors that he's showing now are stemming from the fact that he doesn't find her as, maybe he doesn't find her attractive. I'm not saying he doesn't find her attractive at all. Maybe he doesn't find her as attractive because he had an expectation of what she would look like. And now it's below that expectation. He's really, really struggling because that is not what you told me you look like. I was expecting someone to look close to Megan Fox, and you don't look like Megan Fox, whether it's the eyes, whether he was paying attention or not. You should have never mentioned a name, because once you say someone's, you know what I mean? Once you mention a name, it's going to make people feel some type of way. So in all of that, he's now going to self-sabotage this relationship. I'm struggling to see how this relationship is going to work long term, because he's always going to be, it feels like he's going to always be in self-sabotaging mode until he addresses the fact that attractive wise, he feels that he's been lied to. And imagine what you would do if you felt you've been lied to the whole entire time. How are you going to behave? Right? You're just waiting for your moment. That's it. If you know someone's lied to you, you're not going to sit on it and forget about it. You're just waiting for your moment. He is going to blow a gasket. And I'm not talking about being angry and blowing up. I'm talking about self-sabotaging. And one of those things that he was doing was AD. Having that conversation with AD is the beginning of the end. I'm telling you, there's going to be more stuff that's probably going to come out. I may be wrong, but that's how I'm seeing things.
I'm sorry, Kojo. Chelsea did it to herself. He told her on the side, like, yo, your girl AD looking good. She's the one that yelled out and say, yo, AD, my man said you look good. Who does that? Who does that? So you created the atmosphere that now he's got to go over to AD and apologize and say, hey, this is the context. I hope we good. I don't want your man. I don't want no troubles with your man. You look good. Giving the compliment, whatever. Chelsea created that. It could have just been, you told me, I put it in the back of my mind, and we went on with the evening. You pushed his attention to AD, and now you want to backpedal and say, okay, he ignored me. I was right next to you. You didn't know where I was. You created it, and now it's kind of like the whole, I created a situation, but now I'm the victim. No, sweetie. You pushed him in AD's direction. Why would you do that? He already said she looked fine. I would not draw any attention to her with him around if he said that. But that's just how I would move. But she created it and then want to feel icky about it. No, girlfriend, you pushed him there. You created a situation. Now you got to sit in the mess that you made.
I definitely said that to myself. It was like, you should have kept your mouth closed, sis. But he did, on the flip side, should have been more respectful and aware of his woman. You know, she was being passive aggressive in that moment, trying to act like she was unbothered by his comment on AD's body and everything. And, you know, try to present a strong front saying, hey, girl, he liked that. But if you see her face right after, she had instant regret. Instant regret, especially when AD got to shaking it a little for him and all this stuff like that. Child, look. Okay. First thing she was thinking, it was like, I ain't got no Megan Fox butt or body. I should have shut up. I should have shut up and let him admire from the far and quiet. Now everybody admiring. So yeah, she had instant regret, but at the same time, he lingered on with that conversation too long, getting hugs from AD and everything. Now you got to reassure her that you don't want AD. That is nothing there. That is that nothing. But it's kind of hard to reassure a person when you made the first comment. You highlighted her behind. So now she's always going to be wondering every time a girl with assets walk past, are you going to be looking? Are you going to be chasing? You know, when an insecure person, I'm telling you from experience, an insecure person is hard to console. Especially once you open that floodgate back open. Like while we got it closed, we're good. Long as we feel like we're secure with you, we're good. But as soon as you open that door, just a little crack, little light can peek through. Oh, we're going to kick it open. We're going to kick it open because we're going to overanalyze and overthink every single situation that occurs. And we're going to try to be very passive aggressive to try to act as secure as possible, knowing damn well we're not. And it always seeps out. It always seeps out over time, because then we start trying to get a little bit of controlling. And I'm telling y'all this from experience. We start trying to get a little controlling. We start doing inappropriate things because we want to make sure that we're not going to get hurt again instead of just healing ourselves. Instead of saying what caused this in the first place, let me fix that. We want to sit here and try to control you and how you move forward. Now we got to check on the phone calls. We got to have FaceTimes. I got to see what you're doing. Who's in your background? Who's this? She's creating a problem for herself by pretending to be secure with a man you're not even secure with. He's not even secure about you, and you know it. So yes, I agree with you, Elsie. She should have never opened that door, but he should have had more self-awareness that it's going to look bad continuing this conversation the way I'm doing and not really going to find my wife even after the conversation is done. Now, it could be production showing us him going to find and sit by her later on, but being that the sky kind of changed to a darker setting, it looked a little bit like you didn't come check on her for quite some time, my guy. And you checked on her and then left, was like, all right, ladies, woo, y'all have a good time.
Not only that, Jay, he said, oh no, Chelsea, you can't. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the other two sitting next to you. They can answer this question for me. Not a good look, Jimmy.
I mean, he tried. That's what I'm gonna say. He did try. I mean, listen, and that conversation at the end when they had it in the bedroom. I mean, you know, I felt for both of them because they were both trying to express something, right? Like she felt like she had the edge because she felt like she had been done wrong to. But the problem was he didn't see what he had done wrong, right? So once you get past the whole, I made a comment. What she failed to realize was you called it out though. So once she started going on her high horse, that she expected him to submit in that moment and be like, I'm so sorry, you know, and just kind of be in that apology to soothe the wound that she's feeling, which I understood, but she kind of misunderstood the situation because she was actually a part of it. She participated by calling out it. And then she tried to play it as if I'm a victim. That's why I said what I said. Well, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to take accountability. I know that you may have done it because you have felt uncomfortable, which is fine. But you have to take, and this is where in relationships, you can't do this behavior, right? You can't just pretend as if you're the only one in a relationship when things go wrong. When things go wrong, it affects both of us. So when she re-engineers a situation, yeah, you can be frustrated about your behavior, right? Yeah, you can be frustrated about the fact that, you know what, you did X, Y, and Z, right? So he said about her behind and said she got a great figure, etc., etc. I personally don't think he was sexualizing her. In all honesty, I don't think he was sexualizing her. And I think it's easy for us to say that because, again, it's a black woman involved in it. He didn't say anything sexual in the manner of her behind. He just said she has a great figure, she has a great butt. When someone says that, they compliment you on your figure. You look good. The same way he said if he looked at her face was good, right? And once he said that, you know, he was a little bit too intrigued by it, a little bit too excited by it. I understand. There's a big behind in there. Drink is flowing too. Your lips are a bit too pursed. I mean, a little bit too free, right? And then she sees that, feels insecure in that moment, and then says what she says, and doesn't realize she's also now become a participant. So when they get to the bedroom, instead of her realizing saying, "Hey, look, I was uncomfortable. I said what I said. I have to be accountable for what I said. I shouldn't have said it," because it also then put it out there. And then it made it look even worse for you as well, because something that was meant to be done in private between me and you've gone out and said it out loud. Couples, when they're secure, talk about other people all the time. They say, listen, that person is a good-looking person. I hear my parents all the time. Ah, that guy is a very nice-looking guy. My dad will say, or my mom will say, that's a very nice-looking woman. And it's not a beef. So it shouldn't have been that way. But because people are insecure, it went that way, right? And then we're in the bedroom, and now you're expecting me to bow down at your feet. He's seen it as you want me to bow down at your feet, so he's now resisting her, her advances in terms of apologizing appropriately and really understanding where she's coming from and how it actually hurt her to kind of see how it would play out. So now he's not apologizing all the way. So now it gets to a point, she's now pulling him with her arm, trying to pull him down, sit down and talk to him and da-da-da. And she does that twice, by the way. And then now he's like, you know, I already told you I love you. And now she's like, I don't feel like you love me. Now she's going to spiral. Oh, she's going to spiral. I don't know if you love me. I don't know if you care about me. I mean, if you did, you would have done, oh, baby, it was an incident, a moment. But maybe also, too, she feels and she can see that also because she's seen Jessica and what Jessica looks like, and maybe she's also afraid because she also wasn't clean in when she pursued Jimmy. Also, I'd rather say when she was in interaction with Jimmy, it wasn't the purest interaction. There is a little bit of insecurity there, and therefore she's trying to make sure that it's a sure bet. And that's one of the tough things about this show and anything in relationship wise. Sometimes we do things that don't benefit us in the long run, and do come up later on in conversation. But you got to work through it. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they get on come from here.
Yeah, because she said in their interaction in the bedroom, I told you I'm hurt. You need to just take it.
Boy,
She did not think to even listen to him saying, you did play a part in it. We both played a part in it. I'm going to see my part, but I need you to also see how you've hurt me or you've put me in this position. So when she said, you need to just take it, it screams to me like, when you mad at me, I may have to duck sometimes because you're going to be mad and maybe start throwing things or what kind of tantrums you're going to have. But the way she cut him off and say, when I say I'm hurt, you need to just take it, I didn't like that at all.
Again, that goes back to your insecurity starting to try to control the situation, control the narrative, and control the relationship. You're going to try to dictate how he moves, how he behaves from this point forward, because it helps you heal instead of you healing yourself. He hasn't made the mistakes that put you in that hurtful place, that has you guarded and your walls up like this. He didn't do that, but you're punishing him for past mistakes. You open that door by making him feel comfortable enough to sit there. And here's the thing. He wasn't even going to go try to make anything more of it. He was going to make sure that that AD was okay with him saying what he said. Because she opened that door. That was supposed to be a private conversation between couples like, hey, wow, she's stacked. Okay. Let's leave it alone. We can argue about it between ourselves or whatever the case may be later, but that was supposed to stay there. Now I got to go make sure that this girl don't feel I'm sexualizing her. I'm just treating her like a piece of meat. I'm like anything about the comment being pushed out there. Let me go make sure. Now you're mad that I'm making sure and we're having extra conversation now. Now I agree. He should have made sure afterwards his lady was okay. You good. You could even brought her to the conversation with you, but you didn't. But it is what it is now. There's going to be an endless cycle between these two because her insecurity is going to keep going high. What's up?
Question, since, the title was Carnage. AD looked a little too open in the conversation with Jimmy. I'm sorry.
Yo, she was open up. I'm telling you, she like white man. I'm just going to tell you. Yeah. Okay? Sorry to Clay. She going to leave her ass for white man.
She gonna get on and leave you for women in the Kanye reverse scenario, okay?
That woman was staring in his eye. Like, I don't know what Jimmy was saying to her, but her eyes were starry gazed. I mean, she was looking in the man's eye like, like she was fully in the conversation. I said, hey, I was like, what is Jimmy doing to you? Like, and she was like, we need to talk later on. We need to talk more later on. I said, talk where, baby? You got your boy Clay. And I think the reality is, I think although Clay's a very handsome person, I know we're going to get there, so I'll keep it brief. Although he's a very handsome person and, chocolatey and all that kind of stuff that she likes, pause. But, I think in reality, the fact that Matthew was the first person, this is why Clay needs to keep his mouth shut, because you didn't really study your opponent. Okay, you didn't study your opponent, and you didn't study the person who you're also chasing. She likes white man.
Thank you. We're here now. Let's go, baby. We are here. Because I posed that question in our group chat, and I was like, I think she likes it because the way she lit up was not the way she lit up for Clay. I'm sorry. She did not light up the same way for Clay. When I look back at it, I was like, there was some pleasantries, some like, oh, I like the eye candy I see of Clay. But when that comment was made and she gave that little over the shoulder shake, I said, oh, okay. And then the whole conversation, she was hands on. She was the one who was hands on Jimmy. She was leaning in, giving him the touches, the grabs, and the hugs and all of that stuff. So I was like, oh, my girl likes, oh, hey, baby. My girl likes the white meat. She likes it. If she ain't never had it, she wants to explore. I'm so sorry. She definitely wants to take a venture over to the light side. So I was like, Clay, watch your girl, because you think you the player out here. Your missus got some little game too, okay? She got some little sneaky game too. I don't know who gonna play who up in this situation, but you might want to watch your girl, because listen.
All I'm saying is AD looked like she was sinking into the conversation. It was in. It was okay. You like me. Your eyes open and you're looking in my face too, because you know how I feel about Clay and how his reaction to her. But I'm telling you, Jimmy is Mr. Steele AD. She was very, very open. There is polite open, but that was the dude at the bar that you were hoping would send you the drink, and he did. That's what that interaction was. It was, you have a chance of going home with me tonight.
No, I said this to AW. I'm gonna agree with you. She likes the attention. However, she was the one, y'all got to remember, she was the one who came to us talking about she wants somebody to see her more than just her body and all this stuff like that. That's the same person that said this. And here she is, shaking off her body for a little attention. Her husband is all for the body, though. Her current potential husband is all for the body, but she's still starving for more attention. So something there is not all the way. She's not all the way sold with Clay. And I'm gonna go back to both their comments in when they seen each other. Oh, you're dark skinned. What the heck does that mean? Oh, you're dark skinned. Was you looking for, if they were black, were you looking for a lighter version of what you got? Because I'm not going to come out and say, oh, you're dark skinned if I knew you were black. I'm not worried. I knew you were black. I'm happy about that part. So I was just like, but I don't know, AD. I don't know. I don't know if you're really out of these dancing streets like you say you are. Because, baby, a little bit of attention, that you got from Jimmy made you do all of that. You were just as wrong as Jimmy was in that conversation, if not more wrong. Because I was like, damn, what Chelsea do to you? Did Chelsea do something to you too? Because it seemed like you trying to piss her off too. Like, what is happening? Or are you trying to get Clay to know that you got more, that you can get more attention? Well, baby, if Clay don't know you can get more attention with his body, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, since we are on AD and Clay, what are y'all thoughts on these two?
I mean, listen, look, I think it's great to see Clay have some growth. I think the conversation that they had about him saying go to the gym, I like the way he in real time adjusted himself. He took a couple bites of the cherry and readjusted himself with what AD has said. And it showed some growth that he's willing to adjust. And I was appreciative of the mature response that he brought to the table. I think it was very, very good. And it's definitely a better sign of them going forward. They had a conversation about therapy as well, going forward. And I was hoping that, he will also step into that light and get into therapy, listening to AD's responses. Can't lie to you, what she said about, obviously, as well, never feeling like she was worthy of love. It really hit home. I felt that, I felt that feeling before as well. So I understand, when she said that, I said, I can understand how that really does impact an individual person. And I think that extra part where she said about chasing a man to almost replace what she didn't have with a father figure was such a key response as well, in terms of maybe why she puts herself in certain situations, even why maybe the conversation with Jimmy might have gone on the way it did. I mean, it wasn't the most crazy of conversations again, once more, but it's just the way that it just seems so smooth and so enticing for her, almost in that sense. Maybe she was just trying to be nice, who knows, but it looked a bit enticing. And I think, obviously, even scooting back, because we're going to episode 4 as well, the proposal and then the reveal, and then obviously, them obviously getting to have conversations and seeing each other for the very first time. I mean, I'm still a little bit in limbo. I think, again, I hear a lot of comments about her body. And I think it's time to have a real conversation. You want to have a real conversation? This is why it's carnage. Let's have a real conversation. And someone said it in the chat. It's like Paige and Chris from Married at First Sight all over again. Their body is exquisite. The face is good. It's okay, right? And what I come to realize, people like our brother here, Clay, body is good, but they like face. And so I'm not saying she's an ugly girl. She's a pretty girl. She in her own right, she's an attractive woman. But there's a particular, and again, maybe we can talk about colorism, we can talk about all this kind of stuff, whatever you want to call it, futurism, talk about it all, right? At the end of the day, there's a particular look that maybe this kind of guy likes, right? So the body is doing what the body needs to do, but the face isn't. It's not. I just don't feel it's conjoining, and I feel like although he's trying to mature a little bit and grow a little bit, every comment seems to be about her body. In the next few episodes, from 5 to 6 especially, everything's about how sexy her body is. Oh, we're going to keep your body in shape because that's where the attraction is being held. And again, nothing per se wrong on it, but bodies change, especially with women. Bodies change. And when she explained that and said, "Oh, what if I have a kid?" He was like, "Well, we're going to get you in the gym straight away." He immediately went to that process, and that told me, okay, look, you see, that's going to be very hard because you see, faces, although they can change with weight, they usually kind of retain its kind of essence, right? About how the person kind of looks. Of course, it can change with a bit of weight. We know this, but in essence, it keeps the kind of feature and how it looks. Bodies change, and how they look and how they're presented, it can change. And so listening to him talk about her body all the time, I was like, you know what? I mean, my problem with it is from my perspective, maybe again, this is my own projection onto the situation. Understanding how body versus face actually works out for me. Body, whenever I was much more attracted to someone's body, there was much more of a sexual component that was attached to it than one of a loving component, right? Whenever someone had a bad B body, but I wasn't necessarily attracted to the face, there was more of a sexual energy. And so in that instance, I feel like the same thing might happen to Clay here, that there'll be much more sexual energy and tension, but will there be intention when it comes to the relationship in terms of growth and developing with that person, in terms of love with that person? That's another question. I don't know 100% all the way, just by the way he was talking. But I think obviously through the episode, you know, even after she spoke to Jimmy, maybe it's a cut, I don't know, it might be edited, it might have been after. But she went to Clay and she kind of hugged him and kind of got into his armpit, and I almost felt like she did something bad and then went to Clay. You know what I mean? So I was a little bit like, you know, I know I said Clay likes the validation, but maybe our sis here too likes a lot of validation too. And this is what's going to start the warfare and the games in the future, because it won't take much to get Clay off the edge. And trust me, when he's off the edge, you can't talk him back. It's done. And so, you know, she might just do something small. She might not even need to cheat. She just needs to talk to someone too funny. And he gonna go off the edge, and it's gonna be wild for everybody from there, because it's gonna be a nasty little cycle of back and forth. But yeah.
I agree with you. He's gonna, you know, possibly go off the edge, and especially with Jimmy too coming to make sure, hey, you know, we don't have any beef, you know, make sure we good with his compliment, you know, of AD. The thing with therapy, he backpedaled. She said you need to go to therapy, and he's like, yeah, I'll go to therapy with you, relationship therapy. He didn't acknowledge going to therapy on his own. So he kind of backpedaled on that. And this was the first time I heard him pouring into her. But for me, it felt manipulative because he said she broke him down. She saved him. She's making him better. And for me, it's like, yeah, that's a compliment in a way, but you are totally kind of manipulating her and keeping her as the pillow you keep calling her as the, I hate to say, you know, he's a late bloomer, as the potential mothering that he's looking for. But it screams to me that he's just telling her all of this, but I don't know if she's his top pick still. I don't know. But he talks to her too much like they're bros. It's like some parts he's like, yeah, dude, and bro, and I'm like, this is not a bromance. This is your fiance. We're not on a basketball court. We're in a relationship. So that to me is very, very odd with how he addresses her with the bros. And AD wants the fairy tale, and she knows her father is not able to walk her down the aisle, but she's still holding on to that fairy tale and the emotions of that fairy tale. And I'm like, since she's in therapy, at some point, sis has got to deal with this. And it also tells me she's faced with a fact. You can't have that fairy tale, but you're still holding on to it like it could be a possibility.
As far as Clay, in my opinion, sorry, Coach, you want to go ahead and jump in? As far as Clay, in my opinion, I feel like he's a sports fisher. He's looking for that main catch, that big catch. She's a part catch. She's not quite that you throw back, but she's not that one fish that you're really trying to get. She's not that big whale. She's not that for him. She's a good catch, but not the whole catch. I agree with the manipulation part of it, and this is why I say this, because AD is a fixer, a healer, a type person. She wants to fix her relationship with her dad through the men she chooses. That's her only way to have the connection to her dad at this point right now, is to find a project. And I think either he realizes this either one or two ways, because he is a project himself and the way that she addresses him, or two, he realized Matthew was just as much as a project or whatnot. Because he has some self-awareness, I'm going to assume that it's a little bit of both, but he knows for sure Matthew was a project. And he was like, if she's trying to hold on to this and work on this, imagine me. He comes in with I'm a baby. I need you to do this, that, and the third. Can I lay on your boob? This, that, and the third. Now it's you fix me, you this. She lights up every single time. He sees it. Every time he says, you is helping me, you make me want to be better, this, that, and the third. And y'all know that's a red flag for me. When a person sit there and say, you make me want to be better, not I want to be better for you. He said it one time like that. But most of the time is you make me better. You're not doing this for self. You're doing this for personal gain on me. You're not trying to change because you feel like something in you needs to be better for yourself and maybe for this relationship. That's always going to be a problem, because you're going to always be changing. And I said this before, he does not know who he is yet. He does not have a path of his own. He's living in his father's shadow, because he brought up his dad again on how his dad is this, that, and the third. And that's all good and all. But who are you, sir? Who is Clay? Who is that man outside of your dad? Who is that man going to be outside of this relationship? You're a late bloomer and you're jumping into a relationship right now. You have not discovered yourself. You haven't had time to do that. And yes, I agree that he's going to be a problem when it blows up, because when we see how Jeremy made his comment, he repeated with he just repeated what his girl said, what Laura said, and the way AD blew up, like, what the hell she mean by that being comment? I don't like that. I mean, not AD, but Clay blew up. I don't like that. What she mean by that? Like, bro, it was just a comment. It was a joke that the women had that shouldn't have came out of the women's lounge, really. But it was just a joke. And now you almost down this man's throat for repeating what his potential lady said. You need the therapy, not the couples. You need the individual therapy. When y'all start getting into a space of actually deciding that y'all are a couple for real, then y'all can do the couples therapy. But right now, you need the individual therapy to figure out your lane, your space. This woman is not going to be able to coddle you every step of the way. And then you're going to resent her when she does, because she's not going to allow you to be a man that you want to be. And guess what? When the project is done, then what? You're going to move on? You're going to leave her? When you're no longer a project, you are fixed. Is this where you're going to stay? And acknowledge that she did all of these things that you gave her credit for, and actually love her the way she needs to be loved? Are you going to do that? Are you going to jump ship and go find the perfect catch? Now, AD on the other side, you as a healer, Ma, you have to understand that the only person you really need to be healing is yourself. You don't need to be fixing any other person, especially of a grown man, to be anything for you. He needs to come halfway ready to be that for you. He needs to see you and value enough for change himself for you. So if you're constantly fixing people, once they're done, you keep getting left. Where does that leave you? Resentful, bitter, and hurt. That's not where you want to be. You want somebody to love you for you, but stop fixing people because they don't know who you are outside of she fixes me. Sometimes you got to sit back and just let people be. You want them to love you for you. You have to love them for them. You cannot fix them. You cannot fix their problems. You can encourage. And that's the wonderful thing that AD does. She has a way of talking to men that makes them feel encouraged and comfortable because every last one of these men have said that to her. She has to use that gift and go ahead and say, I can give you to the encouragement, the strength that you need and voice reason, whatever it is, I can give you that from a distance, but you have to take this walk on your own, sir. And let him do that. I want to wish best for this couple, but both of them is going to have a lot of tug and pull because they both are emotionally immature on a lot of spectrums, and they both require a lot of attention that if I'm needing the attention, I can't give it to you. So I don't know how they're going to work out. I don't know how they're going to work out overall.
Yeah, listen, it's a very tough situation with AD and Clay, because I think they're a fixer-upper, and I think he's looking for a mother, right? And I said this last time that with him, he needs therapy, right? Because he needs to work through the process of beginning to heal some of these wounds, because he's not a strong tower at this moment. He's looking for a woman to be a strong tower and to bring healing to. Once he reaches there, he will have no need for AD. Right. And that's the unfortunate aspect with this situation. I feel sorry for AD at that point, but also AD too, I think maybe she'll start seeing it. I don't know. Maybe she's already started seeing it. Maybe that's why she's smiling in Jimmy's face, that she's already having to fix him up. Now, of course, Jimmy might not be necessarily the next person to go for, but, she might be already looking at it from that perspective that, you know what, when I'm talking to Clay, and I did wonder this, as much as he may be somewhat self-aware, what depth does he actually have? I was asking this question to myself when I was watching him, because someone could be self-aware but not have much depth about them in terms of knowledgeable areas, intellect, how to discuss certain situations and stuff like that, right? Because I think the one area about Clay that seems to be quite impressive is the fact that, he talks about himself in a way that, you're starting to see, oh, you got these flaws, you're able to see how you got some of these issues, and you're able to see where you've made a mistake or whatever. But actually, was any depth to the conversation? Was there intellectual conversations you guys were having? Was there life conversations you were having? What kind of conversations, apart from the fact that, he says these things, were you having? And I wonder if she was starting to see that in the process of spending time with him, that as much as he's good looking, much as he's tall and he's handsome and he's a sports person that she likes, was there that depth there for her as well? Maybe that's what started making her think a little bit, because I see the way she's looking at Jimmy and he's having this conversation. So I wonder if that may have played a role. I'm not saying it is definitely, but could be. But you're absolutely right. Fix her up as she is, and she's going to try and fix him up as much as she can. But I'm gonna focus on the man, because usually I do focus on the women, but I want to focus on the man because I've got a great opportunity. I think we've got a great opportunity here to address certain things. I say this all the time, but if you don't deal with your emotional wounds, you can't be the refuge for a woman. You can't be the safe place for that woman. You can't be the strong tower for that woman, because unfortunately, whether you like it or not, both men and women, we take licks. But if you're emotionally wounded, there's certain licks, when it gets hit, you're going to want to hit back. And when you hit back, it actually affects the relationship long term, because now you're doing tit for tat, rather than going, you know what, I'm going to take that hit. I don't like it. I'm going to address it. I'm going to say, listen, this is not how we do things in this household, and then move on. But instead, you're probably going to turn it into a fight. Now, as I said about earlier on, I can only see this go one way. Once Clay sees AD trying something or going out of her way or maybe liking something or doing something that, you know, might be considered to be flirting, I can see him going, oh, is that what we're doing? All right, cool. And it's because, again, he wouldn't have done the work. Remember, he was looking for his mother. And in that case, what's actually happening is you're actually saying that my mother is abandoning me and my mother is actually saying she doesn't care for me. What's going to happen when a man finds that out? He goes wild. So if he's chosen to play a motherly role and she isn't doing that, you know, we're going to see, we might see some carnage. So I really hope it's savable if they can get their ass both into some therapy and really get a mediator in there to really just kind of address certain issues with them. And I think they could salvage this relationship. But if they don't, more than likely their survival instincts are what's going to take over and affect them both. But as a man, you know, listen, looking for a mother in a woman, yeah, you may have your money, you may have this, but you're looking to be babied. And he said that out of his own mouth. I've never said I'm looking for a woman to baby me. So the fact that he wants that is concerning for me in that sense.
The way she rolled her eyes up when he said that and went into her, laid down on her chest, said a lot. She was tired. She's like, yeah, no, not another one. Not another one. She already said he reminded her of people of the past by the attitude. So it's like, here I go again, having to coddle baby a man, soothe his wounds and stuff. And I think she's at her point. She may be tired, and that's possibly why she's kind of entertaining other people, but you set yourself up for failure because you weren't honest with yourself by saying, I don't want to go down this road again. I've been here. It was draining. It took me a while to get back to myself. Here I am again with this man. And that's kind of because I'm not saying she was going to pick Matthew. Don't really know, but that's kind of because Matthew jumped out the picture and she's now left with Clay. And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like she wouldn't have chose Clay. We have no clue of what that ending would have actually been had Matthew stayed. But part of her is just on the what if there was somebody else spectrum.
The ladies started this season saying they are not going to be dating potential. They started a whole season in the ladies' lounge saying that. And that's all, well, some of them are dating is potential. But where I felt some kind of way for Clay and AD, it felt like the couples or maybe the ladies were coming at them. They were taking hits that night. That night at the cocktail party, there was the hit, Chelsea Jimmy hit, and then there was the Laura Jeremy hit. Now, the Laura Jeremy hit, I'm sorry. I knew what the phrase meant when she said it, so I don't know what that says about me. I didn't have to Google it. But I'm sorry. Why are these women putting their men one in these positions? And Jeremy, run. Jeremy, she is putting you in a position that you will take the complete fall for. I'm sorry. Laura, these are not bar games, and you do not send a man, and you even yourself don't do that unless that's your cool girlfriend from high school and that's the nature of your relationships. But I'm sorry, girl. You put your man, Jeremy, in a position where Clay could have pulled his hands out and laid hands on Jeremy. I'm sorry. She was wrong.
Well, let's go ahead and shift the convo to them anyway.
The bean dip. Listen, I didn't even know what bean dip is. What is it? Is that flick of the chest or something like that? Is that what it means? But it has racial connotations to it. Is that what the problem was? No? So it's just
the act of doing it. It's kind of like if you had a Frito scoop of scooping it. So you're doing it like this. You're just flipping the chest. I didn't know it had an actual name. I just know that that's not a cool feeling when somebody actually does it to you.
And so he said that, and it was because
Laura apparently did it to her in the lounge.
Oh, Laura did it to AD, and AD didn't like it at the time when it happened, or because I was so confused by it. I didn't understand. I just didn't understand how there was so much vexedness in this conversation. Because AD looked like she was pissed off, And I was like, why are you pissed off? Unless you were hurt by what Laura did in the first place. Did you guys have a discussion about it? Laura, what did you tell Jeremy about the conversation? Did you just tell him in jest and say, you brain flicked AD so that when he's mentioned it out as well, he doesn't really know? You know what I mean? Because I'm wondering what kind of conversation they had to get to the point where Jeremy said, yes, Elsa, did they say?
Jeremy said that Laura told him to go to AD and say, that, about bean dip. If he could bean dip her or whatever. That's what it sounded like. She sent Jeremy to AD. Jeremy didn't look like he didn't even know what it was.
He didn't. He said it a few times. He didn't know. He's like, what is it?
So my thing is, you're putting him in a position of something he doesn't know. He could catch a charge on this because he's touching someone inappropriately without permission, and her man is there to defend her. Laura could have created, but Jeremy was wise enough. He went to AD like, what is this? Because Laura sent me. And that's when she's like, she sent you to do that? That's where the issue is. Like, maybe between girls, but maybe you sent your man. Now we got a problem.
That's where the situation is. So at that point, Laura's got to take some responsibility. So I don't know, she's got to take some responsibility in that case, man. You telling your boy this information without really no context behind the situation. You need to take some accountability for that, man, because you've put him in that position. Do you know what I mean? And he's gonna said it blasé too. Yeah, listen. I think that situation, miscommunications all over the gaff, and I felt like that. Well, first and foremost, Jeremy saying he's going to go home, not the best thing to do. But number two, also Laura as well in that situation. And I can already see what's going to happen. This is coming to be an emasculation situation. And it was before this point, right? Because we already had a conversation about his Hawaiian shirts. Now, sis, listen, there's a way to get a man to change his clothing. Okay, there is a way. All right. Honestly, I promise you, men will listen when you show them a particular way. You know what I mean? Take him out shopping. You're going out and say, babe, some of these shirts will look really nice on you. That's about it. You don't buy it from him. You don't do anything. And let's see what he does with it, right? Or you buy it from another time, right? But you telling him that you're not wearing Hawaiian shirts, we're not seeing none of that motorbike stuff, whatever. You told him what he can and can't do. Now, a man who's got some level of pride about him, has some masculinity about him, some ego, that is not going to go down well. And immediately it's going to be a reaction to that, right? So I saw that straight away. And I said, Laura, if you're the type of person that wants to tell people what to do, you're going to have an issue here. Because Jeremy looks like he's the type that he takes it the first time. After the second time, he's going to tell you this ain't going to run again. You know what I mean? So that had already started. And then obviously now you've been put into a situation about the bean dip situation. And, the way it is handled, almost, she starts saying about he's a child in the way he handled it. I said, yeah, we're going to have a problem. Because once you start calling your partner a child for the way they handle stuff, first and foremost, you're with them. So if they're a child, you end up being a parent, or you're a child too, whichever one. It doesn't work very well, right? Number two, when you start saying people are children, you're really devaluing your partner at that point, and you're lowering them and saying to them they have a lower status to you, and they don't have the maturity that you have, and you start elevating yourself above the partner. And this is never a good start, right? So when I saw her do that, I was like, ugh, Laura, what you're doing right now, this is why he's going to consider Sarah later on. Yeah, this is why we saw the clips and the coming up. He's going to consider Sarah, because this might never have happened with Sarah. Might never happen with Sarah. But because, he's chosen you and wanted to work things out, and he's starting to see these behaviors, these are some of the things that sometimes in dating start to come out after a month or two. And this is why people end up being out of the relationship. Because people start realizing, whoa, is this what I'm dealing with? And I'm all right, I'm good. So I felt for Jeremy a little bit. But the thing was, saying he wants to go home versus go to the hotel, my guy, you're going to the hotel. You're not going home. Okay. So let's nip that in the bud too. You are going to the hotel. Otherwise, if you say you're going home, I need that threat to be finalized. So if you say you're going home, go home, and don't look back, because you can't issue that threat too many times to someone like Laura. She will chew it, eat it, and spit it back at you. So I need him to be serious about what he's saying. So yeah, I didn't like the way she handled it. I think it was out of order, some of the things she did, and she left him in the dark with the bean dip part situation. And That's where it could have been unified. She could have gone to AD and said, listen, AD, my fault, my bad. I should have not really said that to him. Do you know what I'm saying? You know how my man is. You know what I mean? But don't worry about it, babe. My bad. I'm sorry. Instead, she was actually trying to make more excuses to AD and trying to play. Oh, it doesn't mean like no. Just you create the team bond. Listen, you know what? That's my man there. He said something he shouldn't have said. That's my fault. I took a badge for this. I'm sorry, girl. I shouldn't have said it to him. And you end it there and you cover him. But instead, she exposed him. And I said, yeah, that's going to always happen. You're never going to cover, you're going to expose.
She exposed him because she don't like that man. Point blank, period. She do not like that man. And that
you was her listening. You saw her.
Remember, at the reveal, he kissed her hand. Not the Habibi kind of hand. He kissed her actual hand.
She do not like that man. She wanted that man unalive when she did what she did. And then turned around and blamed him. Oh, he's so immature. He's that. Sis, you're just as immature for going and telling him. This is something that didn't have to come out. You didn't have to put him up for it or whatever, stuff like that. And maybe he didn't know. He'll be back. Don't worry. Maybe he didn't know what it was. Maybe he did know what it was. However the case may be, you should have never told him to do that, because this is the same guy that came to us, told us that he could be serious, but he don't want to be. We ain't seen him be serious one time through this whole daggone process. In this moment, when he ready to go home.
When he was talking about the type of family he wanted to have.
Okay.
He talked about it seriously, about traditions and Christmas and family bonding.
He got serious there.
And he was serious about, he has 2 Roombas running 24/7.
That is not serious. That's not a serious. What the hell? What was serious about that? You were serious waste of electricity. Okay. What? So, this man likes to joke, play, or whatever and stuff like that. Why would you think he's not going to be? Why would you think he's going to be serious about that? Even in the moment, he thought it was just a joke. He wasn't getting the full gravity of why everybody was upset. And you fully didn't take your man's side in that. You have to remember, you picked him. You was setting up Sarah Ann the whole time in the pods so you can get this man. Again, another person that's sitting here going after the people they're competing with instead of going after the person they want. So
I feel sorry for Jeremy. He can't have his Hawaiian shirts. He can't have his motorcycle. I mean, he can't have a whole bunch of stuff. She just keep on listing what the man can't have. And I wonder if on the list is, you can't have me.
Yes.
Because she just keep on going. You can't have.
He can't go home, but he can't have her. You can't do nothing, my guy. Like, you can't do nothing. At this point, you can't even exist because she don't want you there. I'm so sorry. She does not want this man in any shape, way, or form.
This is where in therapy they would say, tell me the positives about your partner. Tell me what you like about them. Because she just kept on. But wasn't she? No, she wasn't the one. I thought she was the one that said she listed all the pros and cons, and there were more pros than cons. It wasn't her. But, ooh, child. It's like she said she was done at the pool. He said he wanted to go home at the mixer. And it's like, I don't know if we're going to make it to wedding day.
I don't know if we're going to make it to wedding day, and I don't know if I'm going to make it through the rest of the season with Laura's attitude, because now that I really think about it, you sat in that women's lounge, listen to AD say how she doesn't want to be objectified by her partner, her man, or whatever, and stuff like that. So do you think it's okay as a stranger to objectify her, or to tell your potential person to objectify her in any type of way?
At the first meeting.
But you take no accountability in that situation and try to act like it's all him, like you didn't say it in the first place. The objectification started with you, sis. Like, it didn't start with him. He didn't just come out And I'm not shaming Jimmy for having eyes, but he didn't come out and just be like, "Ooh, she's stacked. Ooh, she got body." You literally told this man to go up to her and do it, or ask her what it is.
And then said, "I'm going to talk to you later when we get back to the room."
Excuse, you gonna talk to who? Like what? So now you're gonna proceed to sun this man afterwards. Still not taking no accountability. Laura, and we got to change your name in a second to a Karen in a minute, because you giving the real vibes. You giving the real vibes right now. And I don't like any of it. Because that was wild. That was literally wild to me, that you thought that was okay, and then gonna have the nerve to try to blame him like he just went over there on his own fruition and did this. Like he embarrassed you. That was something between us. Why was it something outside of the women's lounge?
Let's keep in mind these women have known each other for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And you're this comfortable enough for this type of behavior. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They get too close and too comfortable too quick.
Yeah, that was the craziest to me. I didn't like any of that. I didn't like her attitude. I don't like her attitude carrying on. I mean, I understand you don't have to like this man. You don't have to. You can be like, you know what? I thought love was blind for me, but it really ain't. You know, I don't like his looks. His personality was a little bit. You can be all of that, but to actually go this far with all of this scenario and never once really take accountability for how you got yourself in any of these positions. That's wild. That's really wild. And I was like, yeah, you about to be this season's villain, overall villain, because we always tend to have one, but I see that you're going to be her. We thought it was going to stick with Matthew, but it's going to be you too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely hear that. I mean, listen, I think with her, you know, she just, hopefully she reflects in between that time and they have some better conversations about the behavior. You know, because honestly, when you look at the scenario and the situation, you know, she just needed to handle that situation a bit better. But like I said, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how she starts to behave once the other person comes into the picture, you know, because remember when they asked him what was the reason why he chose Laura, I think he just saw his life with Laura, and you know, he saw, you know, he saw a better prospects with her. But like sometimes when you remember that when we choose somebody, we don't choose them blindly. We incorporate even how their energy is alongside ours, how they interact with us physically. So that's why I love this process, because it kind of does reverse that we normally do. But in essence, there is also aspects of how do you treat me when we're in social settings? How do we behave when we're together in presence? And actually, he was irritating her before then, right? You really look further. I'm talking about even before the t-shirt situation. Go further back I was watching it when they were lying down and he was trying to kiss her a little bit and trying to smooch on her a little bit. You know, her pretense of no, don't. It was really don't. You're annoying me. You're starting to stress me. You're in my space. You're laughing too much. You're joking too much. That's why the child situation comes even more deeper. You're doing too much, and that's why they were showing things to us the way they were, where he's in the pool and he's got a balloon and it bursts in the pool, and it's trying to show. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's showing her perspective of what she's trying to say is that he's being childish. Now, do I think he's being childish? No, but I think in a sense what it's doing is showing us, you know, what she's saying, and so in that essence we get a picture of what she has been doing in a sense in that relationship. And that's why I felt for Jeremy a little bit, because it's been building up, and maybe that's why he said he wants to go home. It's been building up, and maybe he's been seeing it and hasn't addressed it all the way until now, and this blow up here. So, you know, it's a situation where you have to look at it and go, I'm looking at it and I'm going, yeah, let's be honest, in this situation, you know, this is going to be a political situation until certain people take accountability. But I want to see what's going to happen when Sarah comes in, because now I'm looking at, and I would have never guessed, by the way, looking at their relationship, the relationship in the pods, I didn't have a choice in who was going to be chosen. But And my only issue with him and Sarah was that he was saying his connection with her was a little bit sexual. That was my only issue I had with it. That I said, I don't know how much he cares about her in terms of really caring about her, but he keeps on mentioning the sexual chemistry and energy rather than actual relationship. That was my only issue. So yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna happen when Sarah comes in, because she's a beautiful woman, Sarah. Honestly, she is stunning, and she is good looking. So I don't know what's gonna happen, when she comes into the fray and what Laura will end up doing. So yeah, look forward to seeing what happens there.
I guess Laura don't like raspberry kisses, but it could be a situation where a man's playful energy is seen as childish rather than playful. And I don't see Jeremy as childish. I do see him as being playful to lighten the mood because we're meeting each other in person, and he's trying to not make it too serious. So I don't know if he has that comic nervous energy, but she took it all the way of, oh no, you're a child. You're a child, not playful. And I think with Laura, it's either hot or cold. There's no in between. Either we're in it or I'm not. And if you piss her off, you're all the way off. But I think she more sees him as childish rather than playful. But it don't help that you're going to sit in the corner and sulk and say you want to go home. That don't help either.
Well, I don't think she fancies his look in the first place, so that's not helping the situation. And then on top of it, if I don't get to see much of the serious side, not saying that he don't see it, but if I don't get to see much of it, I'm now annoyed because now I got to look at you and you play too much. It's annoying. I'm not going to even hold you. It's a bit annoying or whatever and stuff. And so she has a way of showing that she's annoyed by setting him up, belittling him, taking little jabs, being just nice, not even nice nasty. I can't even call it nice nasty half the time with her, but just like literally just repulsed by him in a polite manner. She's not overly like, but she's every 5 seconds he trying to touch her. It's like kind of like, no. So he's definitely going to feel that. And that's why I think he got to the point of just saying, you know what, I'd rather go home. I just want out this whole process because your energy is not inviting. Now you're actually telling me how you're going to talk to me later about things you put me into. But I'm the immature one. I'm this, that, and the third. Oh, okay. Yeah, nah, sis. Before I cuss you all the way out, send me home. Send me home because you're about to see how serious I actually get. And that's one thing about a person that plays. They're sometimes afraid of that serious side. So they rather joke with you through a lot of situations than go there because they sometimes don't have that filter. I'm not saying he don't. I don't really know because we haven't seen his other side and where his stop is. But a lot of times people tend to lean to one side or the other because they don't know, they don't have a chill button. When they go there, they don't have a chill. So I'm thinking he's like, let me remove myself from this situation before I go the heck off on this girl. Because now I got to fight a man, a whole nother woman out here because of something she put me up to. And granted, I should have had the wherewithal to not do it before I Googled it, but we ain't got no phones out here, so I can't Google what it is. So now I gotta fight for my life and with my partner. Yeah, nah, I'm good.
Jen, you see, she ain't got your back. She ain't got your back.
No, you gotta fight her too. She gonna let you get beat out there in the streets and then take you home and beat you some more. So no, he like, nah, I don't even want to go to the house with you. I don't even want to go home with you. I just want to go home. I want out of this whole situation, period. Point blank. So moving forward, we shall see. We shall see. Any other thoughts on these two? Well, let's get to one of our two last couples, I guess. Kenneth and Brittany. Anything much on the teacher and the principal?
For now, I mean, it was more the coming later on that we're going to see the issues that we kind of spoke about that would probably happen, which is that there's going to be an issue when it comes to race. You know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with Brittany. I don't think there's anything wrong with Kenneth. Point blank period is even Jesus can't save the situation, right? Like when people want what they want what they want. Okay. um, and he hasn't dated a white woman before. She doesn't seem she's dated a black man before. I love the conversation between AD and Kenneth having a real conversation because I feel I ain't gonna lie to you. Some of us as black men some of us can be a weak link when we date white women because what we don't impute is our culture and understanding that, listen, there are certain things that are going to happen as a black person that I need you to get into shape with. Okay. And so I love the conversation she had and said, listen, you're going to have a black child. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have a black child, which means you're going to have some conversations because how we're going to navigate the world. She may not know how it is to be that color or to move in that space as that particular person. So I love that conversation because Jesus can't save that. All right. I know people want to, bring Jesus because Jesus gloss can cover everything, but Jesus can't save that aspect. And so that was a powerful thing for me. What I will say is that I do believe that he's a very caring person. You see the way she said about how he was so caring, and all the other ladies were like, "I see how caring he is. I want what he, I want a man like him." So clearly he has got some great qualities, as well as I think Brittany is too. I think they're both servers. They like to serve each other. They spoke about how she tried to outserve him, he tried to outserve her. So that aspect is never going to be a problem in terms of relationship aspect. It's going to come down to, can he actually see himself long term with a woman who's white? It's just culturally, and somebody who's going to come from a different culture, completely move in the world in a completely different way. And we don't even talk about politics in church. We haven't even spoken about that. Does he go to a black church? Does he go to an all white, a predominantly white church? Because you have to understand how people move in these spaces, right? When you're a black person in a predominant white church, the culture is completely different. In fact, your culture oftentimes is put to the side. So you have a different mindset when you come to that space. Then you go to if you go to an all black church and she has to come to that church, we move completely differently too. We have a different culture that comes along within church too. And he's a worship leader. So, some of the songs he go and sing, hey man, you ain't gonna be some of the songs you singing. Like, so that's gonna be another contextual part they're gonna have to work through. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm more saying we can't ignore that there are gonna be some real issues. And there was something that she said when she was talking to the girls that I didn't believe her truth. She was like, they were asking her about, does he touch you? And does he because she wants someone to kind of like lead in that aspect. And the way she answered it didn't give me confidence. When they were asking, so does he touch you? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, when you say that, tells me he don't touch you the way you want him to touch you. Sis, he don't have that touch. He don't have it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna leave it there.
He can't touch her like that, Kojo, because they're waiting till after marriage.
Sorry. I hear it.
He's like, I am not going to eat that apple because you said we ain't going to share it till after the wedding. So I understand. I also think he ain't touching her like that too, because he maybe don't want to catch a charge, don't want it to look differently. I am meeting you for the first time, and we are getting to know each other. What I did like with them, and he said, we're going to, what did he say? Break down our day. I did like that interaction. She kept it playful. The water bill going to be high. And just unpack the day. And she affirmed him and said, there is no ick. There's no issue. I do like you. I see you. And what I see, I really like. I like how they pour into each other. It's the same thing I was talking that, they, one is always pouring into the other more. She pours into him, he pours into her. I did see that, Kenneth. I hope you were just putting the shirt on after the massage because of the cameras. I hope you don't, have a, body image, thought. But he is one of the few men that went and checked on his lady all through the night. Are you good? Do all y'all ladies need drinks? What are we doing? Now, Brittany can annoy me. Her twang at times annoys me, but that's just me. I didn't ask her to marry me. But it was a powerful conversation that AD had with him later on at the mixer. She I guess in one of her wonderful ways, as you said, Kojo, she's one that can talk to you and build you. She had him face it. She's going to be raising Black children. Can she raise Black children with you? So I really loved that conversation and that they focused on that conversation.
I agree with you both. Respectable couple. He put out his filler question in the pod. Hey, are you okay with premarital whatever relations, whatever? She was like, nope, want to wait. So the lack of touching is probably because he's like, yeah, if I touch, I'm gonna want more. I got to do my willpower. I got to know my strength and my weaknesses, and maybe too much touching for me is gonna be a bit much. Because I was just kind of like, how y'all gonna lay in this bed together? Because baby, I'm not. Y'all know I lack willpower, so it's like we're gonna have to. You sleep on top of the covers, and I sleep up under, because ain't no way our skin is gonna touch. And I'm not in the middle of my sleep. I be dreaming. I don't know. Okay, you can't touch me a certain way, and I'm if I'm attracted to you now. I don't know if they are truly attracted to each other. I think they are. I actually think they are. But if I'm attracted to you, it just ain't no way that you're gonna be able to touch me, and I'm not gonna want more. I'm just sorry, especially if your energy is flowing. I can feel it. Like I'm a feel it. So it's just for me, I kind of understood why there may have been a lack of touching, because he even looked like he wanted just to like stroke her hair back in the bed, but he had to resist, just hold himself back a little bit. And so I was like, okay, I like that he respects her boundaries. He's not trying to push them. He's not trying to test them or whatever and stuff. That means that he has a strong faith with God himself. So I like that about them both, that they're very strong there. But again, like the issue with Kojo, how much is the race going to play into it as we go forward? I'm glad AD had the conversation with him, because he needs to really have that conversation with Brittany going forth. How it's going to be raising Black men, Black boys in this society. How it's going to be raising Black girls in this society. How we going to get through hair processes and all these little nicks and nats and all of these things. Not only just that, how strong are we going to be? And I'm going to say it again, how strong are we as a whole front when we face our families, when we face the community, when we face the church? Are we going to fold in those moments? Or are we going to stay strong with God as our pillar? Those are the conversations that they really need to lay down at night and really have, because going forth, if they both decide to make this commitment with each other, they're going to have to face all that. And I hope that they're just strong enough in that commitment with themselves and God that they can hold strong and not let the outside influences. When we get out of this little bubble paradise that we in right now, when we get outside into the real world, that doesn't cloud our judgment going forth. Because this is both of their first. So that means that this is both of their families first. The families is going to have a lot of questions as well. AD was the first of many. But there's going to be a lot more to come. And if the families are not as open, I hope both of these families are really open people. But if they're not as open, or if they got one or two that is just real hardcore, strict to what they know, it can be a problem. So right now, in this moment, I really hope and pray that they solidify their strength in each other, and it works out as we go forward.
If we go in carnage, as the chat was saying, the church people are watching. The church people are watching, or will see it and notice that he's on the show. The administration for the school district he's at is watching. So Kenneth is in a hard place, pun intended, where everybody's watching him and he's got to watch his P's and Q's and how he comes off. But Kenneth, dear, the cameras do turn off and you do get alone time with your fiance. And I understand respecting the boundaries, and I understand respecting where she's coming from. And I do believe they're having these conversations because of how they appear on camera, because they do appear very secure and speaking into each other a lot. But if it is, as you said, Jay, the first time, it is going to be a challenge. It is definitely, and we don't know what part of the community either of them are from, because North Carolina has a spectrum. They have a spectrum, and lacks gun laws.
Any other thoughts, Coach, on these two? All right. Well, let's shift it on to our last couple, the one that picked each other first. Johnny and was it Anna? Is it Anna? Amy? Amy. Johnny and Amy. Yeah. Amy, no letter. Okay. Yeah, Johnny and Amy. Thoughts on these two? Oh, you're rocking, Elsie. Go ahead in there. Jump on in. You're double dutch ready.
I don't know how much he likes her. I know what it looks like on camera, but I'm sorry. If I'm cuddle snuggle with you, you are not looking at the roof and noticing that there are lizards on the wall. And you're not putting my attention on the lizard on the wall. So there's something there that just ain't computing for me. You're not looking at the sky to wish upon a star because you already got me. So why are our attention is elsewhere? So there's something. They look good on camera, but there's something that's not connecting for me. They are supposed to be, I guess, the darlings of the show, the couple we're supposed to root for. But that part kind of screamed out at me. Johnny, too, seems to be all in, and you got to be as all in as him. And I don't think she's as all in. I think she's tolerating a lot. But that's just a feeling. There's nothing that we have been given about them.
Code, you there?
I don't have much to say about them because there ain't much in this episode, but they do have a little bit of a conversation, obviously, about their families and going forward. I think the next few episodes they're going to see more of them, right? And some of their issues that potentially come up. But I think with Amy and what's his name again? Sorry, Amy, what's his name? John?
Johnny, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure. With Amy and John, I'll be honest with you, I don't have much to say to them. I because they were earlier episodes, and again, I didn't think there was much issue between the two of them. But one thing that she mentioned in this episode again is that she likes ethnic brothers. Okay, she like them a little bit dark. She like them dark haired. Once she said that, I said, "Yeah, we got a problem." All right, I know she covered it by saying that's not my usual type, and I'm going for a different type. But I said, "Sis, that's a problem." And they're probably going to come up later on. So that was really my only issue with them. Johnny doesn't have no issues with Amy. Amy doesn't really have any other issues outside of that. She didn't mention any. I don't remember of her saying any issues romantically in terms of the actual relationship as well. Plus, she said the sex was good. She said 11 out of 10. Okay, all right. So we've got to mention the fact that Chelsea blew Johnny out. Chelsea blew up her boy Jimmy and said how big his is. So anyway, a conversation of a day. Pause. Yeah, she said the intimacy was 11 out of 10. So I don't know what else to say apart from these two, apart from good luck, and that they shouldn't mess it up, going forward. So I think she'll be happy to settle with and be okay with a man that she doesn't necessarily find as the most attractive, but she's willing to treat him good because he treats her nice. That's how I see it. But hey ho, we'll see.
Yeah, not much going on with this couple for me either. Maybe, and to your point, Elsie, maybe his fear of lizards is on a high. So when we got to fear something, our eyes automatically do. Is that a spider? Oh my god! So maybe he like, oh yeah, no, we ain't gonna be able to sleep here for the rest of this trip, baby. We got to switch rooms. The lizards is taking over. So maybe that's why his eyes was attracted, because he's like, I gotta watch this lizard. He's sneaky, babe. Hold on, we gotta get him out. And he's still learning her. His fear has been there. So maybe that's just it. But yeah, these couples wasn't given much just yet, so we'll see going forward. what we deal with later on. But I think some of the issues may be the same as with Kenneth and Brittany. Then the families, once the families get involved, we'll start seeing how it goes there. Because my girl really wants her ethnic man. She really does. She was like, I don't know.
So that was my other question for the group. What Kojo touched on. The women were objectifying the men a lot. We usually, burn folk when the men are objectifying the women. But this time it was the women speaking a lot about male anatomy and assets. What were your thoughts?
Dang it, Elle said, let us have our moment. The men been doing this for years. Let us have our one. No, just what's your thoughts, Coach? Are y'all okay with being a beefcake for us? Huh?
Hey, listen, if you listen, I'm gonna have no way about it if my team is correct, innit? Get me? If your team's not correct, then of course you're gonna feel some type of way about it. You know what I'm saying to you? But those who are winning don't concern themselves with this kind of conversation. You carry on, ladies. You go on and you speak about it. You're increasing my market. You continue. Okay, you're increasing my market. Why am I complaining when please? I'm
not Coach
don't
over
justify
like
me.
Captain Morgan.
I'm just saying, listen, go and you know what? Justify me. Tell them about the game. This is solid.
That's my point. Ladies, why are we sharing about the blessings of our fiance? Somebody gonna be checking to see how they can hold that cup as well. Why are you sharing that? I'm sorry. You will not know the blessings that I'll be enjoying later. Don't need to say it. Just say, hey, we good. We real good. And keep it at that. They're sharing too much.
I agree with that. You don't know these women. You don't know these women yet. Clearly, oversharing is not the right thing with these people. None of them, men and women. You can't tell them nothing because everybody gonna go out into the open and say something back. So yeah, I would be keeping that. I'll just be like, I'm good. We're good in that department, but yeah, I'm happy. Just be happy for me. Matter of fact, you're not about to see how happy I am. Babe, let's go. Meeting in the bedroom. Let's go.
So we're seeing the imbalance. Women do not wish to be objectified. And Kojo is like, please talk about me. Please let the other ladies know where I fall in the market. There's an imbalance there. And, Kojo, that'll be a good deep dive for you.
It's been an imbalance, though, Elsie. Let us have our moment. Damn it. We've been objectified for so long, okay? Let us have our moment of trying to be masculine for a little bit. Damn it.
I didn't say that I wasn't paying attention. I didn't say all that. But we like to look. We like to what? Use the Uno reverse. So we like to flip that coin and look from what? The other perspective. So I just want to know with the gentleman.
But would you be mad if your man was out there like, yeah, my girl got some good pee? The pussy.
Yes, I'll be mad. Why are you talking about that?
I'll be looking at him crazy like, baby, you know I'm about to be tried now. So I hope your fighting skills is up, boo. That's on you.
And that's the point. That's the actual point too, how men and women are wired in terms of territorial behavior. Women also are very territorial, but in terms of how it turns to bloodshed very quickly, especially amongst men. But yeah, you inviting other goons to know that your wife's poussoir is amazing. Yeah, you asking for them to test because they're already testing. That's the whole point. So you are now giving them even further impetus to go ahead and test some more. Oh, sir, you just slapped a sell sticker on your wife. She about to be sold. Down by the riverside.
To the highest bidder, baby. Amen. Any last thoughts on any of these couples, the episodes, or if you want to share a little bit on the episodes to come? Because yeah, carnage.
I want to know how many wives, how many fiancés are going to be swapped, because it looked like a few want to trade in what they have for the other one. And I know they didn't see the previous episode with Zach and how he, got his bliss, but it looks like a few of them want to trade in for the other person if they're going to allow that. That's what I'm excited about. And I'm excited to see how many weddings they're actually going to have.
Anything exciting for you to come, Coach? Well, I'm excited to see how Jimmy handles seeing Jessica. That's gonna be interesting. I'm excited to see how Chelsea handles that herself. I'm excited to see how Jeremy handles Sarah Ann's arrival and how Laura handles that going forth. Because right now she thinks she's the bee's knees.
Will Chelsea notice and she's talking to Trevor?
Ooh. Dun dun dun. Maybe it'll be a happy swap. Maybe it'll just be a happy swap. Like, you know what, go. Because it won't be so happy for Jimmy because Jessica sound like she's like, yeah, come if you want to, but you're only gonna be able to look at this. Take a good picture. Because that's all you're getting. That's all you're getting. But you never know. We have seen people talk that talk, and then next thing you know it, they walking down with that person. Because we thought Bliss was going to be on that level. You can't come back to this. You can't do that. And now she's preggers. So congratulations to them, by the way. By now, I think the baby should maybe have been here. If not, almost will be here any day now. So congrats to them.
And isn't somebody supposed to be cheating in this season?
Sounds like it. Sounds like somebody gonna be screaming.
Jimmy, in it.
Mm-hmm. Sound like somebody gonna be screaming they slept with somebody.
Somebody got somebody's Jimmy.
And Jimmy's on the loose. Anyways, though, before we get to talking about this man's package again, Elsie, you got any last words before we leave them with the parting gifts?
It seems like love is not blind for some folks, and don't put your partner in a position that may cause them harm or may cause them to be looked at differently by someone else. Don't put your partner in compromising positions, please.
Well, thank you guys for being with us for the last hour and 40 plus minutes. We appreciate you from streaming for both me and Little Black Book's channel. If you have not already, please do us a solid. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to both channels. I've been spamming it through I have it pinned in my channel, Kojo's channel. So while you're there right now, if you're on the live, you can jump on, go to his channel, hit like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. And I've been spamming it through Kojo's chat for my channel. Please do us a favor go ahead and like both channels, subscribe to both channels because we got great content coming out for y'all like this. Me and El Cid will be back tomorrow morning for our quick cap of Ready to Love. This afternoon, Coach, is Super Panel Ready to Love. So y'all hit that notification bell. Y'all hit that notification bell so y'all already be in the loop. Y'all can't tell us that I didn't hit the notification. They didn't say it. If you hit the bell, it'll tell you. Make sure you still subscribe to his channel too, because YouTube been doing a lot of crazy things, is unsubscribing a lot of people. So if you are over on Kojo's channel, just do a quick check. Just do a quick check and resubscribe again if they took you off. He did not take you off. Please believe it. He did not take you off. He don't do that. So if you're not on there, that's YouTube playing their little games. So go ahead and resubscribe again. And that's probably why you're not getting the notification. I appreciate you all. Coach, you got any last words for the people before you get up out of here?
I just can't wait to see what happens in the next few episodes. I think next week's going to be really, really great. By Wednesday, I'll still do a few more lives during the week as well, because I think there's a few more things just to tie up in the 6 episodes. But yeah, great show. Thank you, El Cid. Thank you, Jay. It was good to chop it up like this. It's good also not to be in the driving seat. I get to say a lot more, because honestly, sometimes when you're in the driving seat, you don't know you can't even think about what you're going to say. But yeah, no, very, very good. And look forward to next week's launch of episodes as well.
Yes, indeed. Hit that. Please, again, I'm going to tell y'all, hit that notification bell, because Coach does great individual breakdowns of couples, not just the whole as a whole, but he takes pieces of the couples and give you guys real sound advice as far as going for relationships. So definitely subscribe over there. If you're new to both of these channels, you know what to do. But we're going to love y'all and leave y'all like we like to do. So I hope y'all have a great day. Happy Saturday to you all. Be blessed. See y'all later. Bye.